overcome. So based on the various stages, in what way we could equip our education, innovation, entrepreneurships, technology development. I think what I believe as an educationalist, we should trust, we should believe the education is base for everything. Without education, we cannot do anything in the world, even in terms of economy, in terms of employment, in terms of entrepreneurships, in terms of technological development. Not only in terms of technology development, even the people happiness in our life, in our family life, the personal life. Education intuitive of every individual to find out who am I, what I'm going to do, in what way I could relate it with my relationship with others. So this is the education. What are the various evaluation of the education policy in India? I think the policy, before we have to discuss about the education system, as a management professions, the teachers, you should aware of, you should understanding the policy. Policy is one of the powerful tool to define what I am going to do, what I have to do. The policy, wherever the policy is, if you are teaching information technology, or you might be belongs to technological forum, or industrial areas, or economical aspect, or the banking aspect. So every segment, we need to framing a very excellent policy. If there is any policy issues, if you are failing to framing very excellent policy or the policies, which will destroy our career, our future, our prosperous, and so on. So policy only speak about the government schemes. Policy only speak about the society performances. So as a policy maker, while you are formulating policy, either the industry policy or the telecom policies or the stockbroking or the banking or the education, the policy maker should be more and more aware of what is really need of my people, the societies. What is the current status of the particular domains? So you need to be more focused on policy, sir. Now we are coming to the evaluation of the education policy in India. The first education policy in India, which was introduced in the year 1948-49. Why? Because the university education commissions. Why the government? What happened? The first government, it was more important for university education commissions. So at the first time after the freedom, almost all the states, what happened here? I think the school educations under the control of the various states. The 100% responsibility to tune or framing the school educations. That's why they never touched on the school education. The first University Education Commission established in the year of 1948-49. Then what I'm saying, 1942, after 5 years, the Secondary Education Commission was established in the year 1952-53, sir. Secondary Education Commissions. So then only what happened here, the government realized about, apart from the higher education, what is the base for your higher education, what is the base for everything, the school educations are very, very important. Secondary Education Commissions are very, very important. Then they reframed the Secondary Education Commissions in the year of 1952-53. Then after 1952-53, 1964-66, under Dr. D.S. Kothari, the Education Commission was introduced there. Then the 1968, they are introduced National Education Policy, National Policy on Education, Then the 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976, the education's concurrent list, National Policy on Education 1986. The first National Education Policy, 1986. Then again it was retuned in 1986 or 1992. Then after 1986, now the 2016-2019, because under the TSR Subramanian committees reported 2016. So based on that, the government of India appointed Dr. K. Kasturirangan. I think he was reported what he framed 2019. Then the policy implemented in the year of 2020, which is called National Education Policy 2020. So with this, after freedom, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, what was the achievement? What is our achievement in India? So every achievement only because of education, sir. Even in terms of agricultural development, irrigation development, technological development, economical development, industrial development, every movement, every development which is purely based with the education. Suppose the education is not good, everything will be bad. Everything will be bad. So you should be a role model. Why we need to analyze about the national education policy? Most of the students or most of the teachers, they're never bothering of that education policy. Why? Because as a teacher, that is the responsibility of all. Every teacher should understanding the educational policy. What is the impact of the educational policy? In what way I can use such educational policy? In what way that education policy is supporting for our community? This is the basic things. Now we are coming to the National Education Policy 2020. What is the main agenda of the National Education Policy? Main agenda. So that is the mission. The vision, what do you call it? The corporate missions like that. The National Education Policy mission statement by 2030 is 100% gross enrollment ratio into the secondary school levels, preschool level to secondary school levels. At present, we have 75 to 80%, 80 to 85%. Even still, the gap is there. So the first agenda, what happened here? Because the government reached the secondary school, gross enrollment ratios reached to 100% by 2030. Sir. So before that, what I'm saying, I think the one more thing. This is secondary school education. Schooling, you could see there are number of students drop out. There are more lakhs and lakhs of students not possible to joining in the school education itself. It might be there are so many reasons: economical constraints, or the socially backward. Am I right here? Or economical constraints. There are so many problems, so many issues. So the government aim is to, the national education policy aim is to reach for the secondary school enrollment 100% by 2030. Sir. So apart from that secondary school education, the higher educations. When you are coming to the higher educations, we are teaching to higher education institutions. We are in higher education institutions. The students also pursuing for higher educations. First of all, we try to understanding what is the higher education enrollment, gross enrollment ratios in higher educations. Their aims by 2035, the gross enrollment GER in higher education reached to 50%. Now, what is the current gross enrollment ratios GER? Only 29%. At present, 29%. By 2035, that should be reached. The higher education's gross enrollment ratios will reach to 50%. This is the two agenda, major agenda. So, apart from these two major agenda, what is the basic behind it? The base behind it, I think in Indian history, the government of India, Ministry of Education allocated private and public sector investment at 6% to the GDP growth rate level. Total GDP, 6% amount investment allocated the total GDP. This is the Indian history. This is the first time, but the government allocated much more money for educational infrastructure, educational institutional equipment, educational development. Without capital, without investments, we never equip anything. They have allocated 6% of investment, total GDPs. Then they framed 100% enrollment in secondary school educations, then 50% enrollment in higher educations, higher institutions, right? Higher educations. So this is a major agenda. And one more important things in our school educations. Earlier we have studied 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. 5 in the sense first standard to fifth standard elementary school educations. Then 6th, 7th, 8th higher elementaries. Then 9th, 10th secondary schools. Plus 1, plus 2 higher secondary school educations. This is our existing education system. Existing school education system. Now they are planning to change 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which means what? With 12 years of schooling and 3 years of Anganwadi. Nowadays we are talking about Anganwadis. Even what we are saying is because 3 years in the sense Anganwadi, in the sense because the students from 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, they should do only in Anganwadis. I think initially is what I did to know, because I observed why these guys were the government insisted to enroll their the children in third year itself. Third year itself, 3 years age itself. But when you are assessed, what the government is always for the society. When you are assessed this factor, what is the basic reason here? I think, my dear friends, all of you highly literate people, students also highly well economically backward people. I think your relatives or my colleagues daughter or son, 2 years old kids, 3 years old kid, now they are spending 50 to 70,000 rupees in play school. We are able to affordable. We are spending 60,000, 70,000 or even 80,000 also. Right? Preschools are then play schools are international schools. What do you call? You say anything. You say anything. Sir. Even, but what about your economically backward people, socially backward people, or the northeastern people, or tribe? I think the children is not able to enroll even the first standard itself. That is one of the major constraints. That's why the government of India equally, almost all students equally, whatever the curriculum, the teaching methodologies or the instruments which are used in our private play schools, the same kind of instruments which is established in our government school. In this aspect, I am appreciating, accepting. In this aspect, I am accepting. But what the psychology says, no, when students, even the US or UK, only when the children attained 6 years, the 7th year only, they are eligible to admit in the school. Even our system also like that. But what I'm saying in the preschools, there are also so many international schools, play schools, so many private schools, but they are not a recognized center. They are not recognized centers, but government permissions are also there. Crich like that, they are teaching something. But when you can admit your ward, only after 6 years old, the 7th year, you are eligible to admit your ward in any elementary schools. So this is another one, new things, what area introduced in our national education policies, right? And also they have informed all your national education policy, which is focused on skill development, design thinking, creativity, innovations, technology development, right? And also improve the students' creativities, problem solving. I think almost all the education system, the teaching pedagogy, teaching curriculums, and a way of training the teachers, way of shaping the teachers, which is mainly for the purpose of developing very excellent students for so-and-so activities. This is the concept, just of one. Now we are coming to the school education, sir. So in the school education systems, what they are saying, because the school educations, I have already told you, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. There are 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is our new education system, sir. I mean, the 3 to 6 years under the school curriculums, which has been recognized globally as the crucial stage for the development of mental faculties of your child. But in the new systems, will have 12 years of schooling with 3 years of Anganwadis preschooling. So these are all the I have already explained to you. And one more thing, what happened here, the schooling systems earlier, today, I have observed, what I'm observing here, now they are evaluations, the examination process, the examination process, what they are saying, 3rd standard, they have to conduct one examinations, the students would appear examinations, then 5th standard, again, they have to appear examinations, 8th standard, again, they have to appear examinations. Here, I am slightly differ from that observations or the policies. I am saying the government of India, the national education policy, 50% gross enrollment ratios, higher education, gross enrollment ratios and higher education reach to 50% by 2035. Today, what we are doing, here, without a 3rd standard exam, 5th standard exam, 8th standard exam, still we are not in a position to reach at least 29% gross enrollment ratios in higher education. Suppose you could ask our students, the children, to appear the examinations, 3rd standard, 5th standard, 8th standard, your missions will not work out. Your missions will not work out. You will not reach 50% by 2035. I think the people, what the experts might be say something. Third standard means what kind of examinations I can conduct. Maybe a singing, a songs or drawing or something. Right? I think wherever the possibilities is, wherever the possibilities is, wherever the opportunities, whoever the opportunities is, then you can use, you can teach. As a teacher, you can teach to a student. You have some of money, so you can train the people. Where in this case of economically backward, socially backward, geographically issues peoples, how is it possible to perform all these things? So when you are introduced that policies will never change. That's why today almost all agriculture farmers in Delhi now they are fighting to change the policy. Policy only speak about our performances. Policy only ruling the government. So you should be more focused on policy. You should be more focused on policies. I think there are some controversies in this, what do you call it, the national education policy, the third standard, fifth standard, as well as the eighth standard examinations. Then apart from that, what I'm saying, the curriculum is very, very important, sir. NCERT say, National Curricular Pedagogical Framework for Early Childhood Care and Education. So I think the Anganwadi people training is very, very important. Today, you could see how many Anganwadis. I think those who are from rural areas, the villages, you can able to find out Anganwadi teaches their qualifications, the way of teaching, the way of learning. So I think the Anganwadi, in the sense, today after noon meal schemes available, students can able to get. This is the major purpose. But what they are saying here, because of this Anganwadi, the Anganwadi school teaches training program something different, aptitude wise, analyze wise, and other various things, various input which are going to give in the curriculum. The curriculum is also totally revised. That's what the National Curriculum Pedagogical Framework for Early Childhood Care and Education, which is highly important. Up to the age of 8 years, the pedagogy is very, very important. The pedagogy is curriculums, and teachers training for the Anganwadi is very, very important. In that educational systems, now they are emphasized, which is really appreciating. This is not only for Anganwadi, even for elementary school itself, the college teachers, the university teachers, we need to reform anything. We need to reshape anything. We'll discuss later. Right? Then the foundation literacy and numeracy. Foundation of literacy and numeracy, that also very, very important. Then the school curriculum pedagogies, I have told you, because the students who are then how they are admitted, the admissions, grade standard. Then the language. Now we are coming to the language. What is the language here? There are two languages. Now they are introducing triple language formulas. Before the introduction of the triple language formulas, just I would like to talk about that language systems. Now the national education policies, what they are insisting, emphasizing, up to 5th standard, the students could learn only with your mother tongue or the regional language. If you are a Tamil communities, the Tamil guys, you can read, you can study only Tamil mediums. If you are a Malayalis, you can read in your Malayalam or Urdu or Telugu or something. I think this kind of encouragement is really very appreciating, sir. Here, even that mother tongue will likely extended up to the 8th standard. They are extended up to 8th standard, which is preferable. I'm appreciating. Sir. Here, I have two contradictions in this. What is mother tongue? Mother tongue. My dear friends, my dear students. One is what is up to 5th standard, 8th standard, when you are encouraged to study in your own language, mother tongue, you are immediately shifted to some other language, which is very, very difficult task to follow that particular language. I am saying today what we are doing, what is the employability capability, employability skills of my engineering students, employability skills for arts and science students, employability skills for professional management students. Only the 18 to 20% only placed. The rest of them sort of another 20 to 30%. Within 2 years they are placing. More than 50% of the students are unemployed. Even that unemployed or employed, when you are analyzed, that students, most of the students, right from the kindergarten till higher education, they taught the medium of thought only English. But when you are asking to talk, when you are asking to speak, when you are asking to communicate with their own, the teaching language, medium of thought, English. How many of them speaking very well? So language is not a barrier. At the same time, what I'm saying, the language is only for convincing others what I'm talking, what I'm saying, whether the opposite people received my communications or not. Right? So this is one difficulties. And one more information I would like to share about our mother tongue. could see almost all we are in educational institutions, especially technology-based institutions and research-based institutions. So in the research-based institutions, what we are doing here, no, because you see the research, inventions and innovations. So innovative countries, who are the innovations, who are the success of the innovation? The Japan, China, right? Then Taiwan, Korea. So these are all the countries highly succeed nowadays. For the past 2 decades, the development of the Japan produced 53% automation product in the world market. They are exporting 53%. The China is number 1. Taiwan also excellent. Koreans also the same thing. How they are developing, how they are equipping without innovations, without technology development, without product developments, they never attain anything. Now they are shining in the world market. Now they are exporting to so many foreign countries. We are also importing a lot of commodities or the products from some other foreign countries. I think the various innovation, all these things, when you are learning with your mother tongue, you can able to do more innovations, more creativity. This is a witness. But people might be asking, sir, US or UK. I think US, UK also doing, but what is their mother tongue? Their English. What is your mother tongue? My mother tongue is Tamil, your mother tongue is Telugu, but people forced to do English. Then where it will come? Where it will come? Which is very difficult task. That's what I'm saying. You should encourage. But what happening today, the Ministry of Higher Education, now they are inviting all engineers, teachers. The engineers, teachers, those who are able to preparing the mother tongue materials, circuit designs. Those who are able to write, preparing materials in Tamil versions, now they are inviting proposals. Now they would realize the mother tongue, methodologies, the teaching methodologies, that's very, very important. So this is another one controversy. Right? That's what now the government of India introduced. And apart from that, now they are important for the Sanskrit. Preferably language, you can introduce, there is no restrictions. That is the government policies. State governments only knows all these things. Because our state governments already restricted, they are standing only double language formulas, not triple language formulas, I am also standing only with the 2 languages. Why I am saying? Because the elementary school students not able to find out which language I need, where I am going to do, where I am going, whether I want to do work in London or Singapore or UP or Madhya Pradesh, it is not possible. I think when students pursuing higher educations, then you can encourage what type of language which is very, very important, then you can encourage. But instead of what I'm spending 50 hours per year, every academic year, 50 years, 40 hours for the particular language. So instead of spending the 40 hours for the particular language, you might be more focused on, you are talking about Skill India, Digital India, Startup India, Swachh Bharat, so many Indias are there. So you can taught them, you teach them, sir. You can enhance their values, their ethics, their performances in different dimensions. The students would be able to molding themselves. So this is the concept here. The multi-linguist language in the power system, everything is there. That is the one. Then in the schooling education system, now the government of India, the national education policy, including the vocational education, will start from the 6th grade itself. 6th grade itself, vocational education. So the vocational education, in the sense, what I'm saying, for whom this vocational education? Those who are deserved, there is no vocational education. So vocational education means right from the 90% scoring marks till 10 marks, those who are scored. Everyone should learning vocational skills, vocational course in the sense, which is highly appreciable. Those who are dropout, those who are not in a positions in the academic stream or something, if you are not in a science streams, you can choose vocational, which is not correct. Even you could see, even a European education system, American education system, right from the kindergartens, there are so many disciplines students are doing. Even social science also studying, science also studying, mathematics also doing, then business management also doing, economics also doing. There are n number of disciplines, even the school education itself. Don't restrict it. You can do vocational programs. You no need to do vocational programs, which is not correct. And at the same time, in addition to moreover, you try to define what is vocational skills. What is vocational schools? That's very, very important. So now they are introduced the vocational scheme. The government also defended in so many ways. So apart from that, the schooling, now they are planning to introduce internship. So which is really appreciable, internship or the tour exercise. So these are all under our, what do you call here? Our Gurukulam methods. Our Gurukulam methods. What do you call here? The exchange programs or visiting industries or the places, geographic places, historical places. So many events are there. But today what I'm saying, everything is disturbed. Everything is disturbed. Removed from our education systems. So this is another one important aspect in our education systems, the power of language. Right here, then language. Then the assessment rankings. Assessment ranking, I have already told you. 3rd standard, 5th standard, 8th standard, and one more things. Then the equitable and inclusive education systems. What are the equitable and inclusive education systems? Nowadays, in college, higher education levels, we are talking about gender equalities, value educations, social values, ethics, governance, and so on and so forth. So, gender inclusion fund also got a special education zones. Now they are starting a special education zone. Those who are disabled and all these things. So, what I am suggesting here, where is the School of Innovations? We are talking about innovations, incubation, technological development, but there is no provisions in School of Innovations for the bright students, those who are, you can identify the childhood itself, the aptitude, or their design thinking, or out of box thinking. So you can mold your students, the schooling itself, to become a scientist or innovators. So that kind of novel ideas always supporting for our student communities, which are always supporting for our research and development activities. So the gender inclusion fund and a special zone education fund, they are establishing a special zone, special education zone for disadvantaged region groups and other things, which are highly appreciated. Already there, Navodaya school also there, but Tamil Nadu, which is not there. Navodaya schools like that. Now they are set up a special education zone. Those who are affected in the particular regions, particular districts, they can admit. They are given right educations, all kind of activities. Those who are economically backward, the disadvantaged groups, you can use this kind of facilities or the infrastructures from the national education policies. Then the teachers recruitment boards. The teachers are very, very powerful part. Not only for school, even higher education also. We need to reform. We need to redefine my teachers' role, the responsibilities, knowledge aspect. Nowadays, no need to teach. You have to train the students. The robust teachers trainings are very important. That's for which the common national professional standard for teachers, national professional standards for teachers. I think their teachers' qualifications, their experience and expertise. But every year they are rigorously monitoring their progress, their performances, the learning aspect. This kind of the systems which is consulting with the NCERT and the SCERTs, teachers and experts organization from across the level of regions. That is a robust teachers. Teachers recruitment is very, very important. I think that's why we need to train the teachers. Even the 2 days back, I read one articles about artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence and machine learning, 30% of income contributions to our 5 trillion economy by 2025. 30 to 40% of our artificial intelligence and machine learning contributions to 5 trillion economy by 2025. For which here, the infrastructure facilities are very, very important. Technologies at the same time more important. Then the human resource, the teachers, we need to train the teachers. We need to train the people. The teachers' knowledge, teachers' capabilities are very, very important. Wherever you teach, whatever you teach. So you should have very excellent qualities, knowledge, how to upgrading your skills, how to upgrading your knowledge, how to developing your pedagogy, teaching pedagogy, very, very important. Sir. There are 140 teaching methodologies. Which methodologies I can choose? Where I can use? Which methodology you can use? I think people nowadays funny were showing video games. Showing video games for school students, play school students, which is highly impressive. Where when you are showing to undergraduates levels, which is very, very pathetic. You can 1 or 2 classes you can show, but you ask them to analyze various things. What kind of videos which are there? You ask them to analyze, to understand what is in this content, you ask them to make a presentations in your classroom. So that kind of activities, the doing activities, practices, which is highly influence of students to be a good engineers, the best student. I think the schooling aspects of then the school governance. The governance in the sense, this is a new system. Today, even today, the district wise, block wise, educational district wise, we can able to find out. But this governance systems, whatever the entire general portal, every block wise infrastructure facilities, library facilities, book facilities, internet facilities, furniture facilities, what kind of facilities you have, what kind of facilities you need to develop, you need to improve. So that means the school governance systems, the entire India, they need to develop this system, schooling governance system. So what I'm saying, the private schools, what is their equipment, what is their infrastructure? Where in this case of rural areas, suburban areas, the private schools, particularly the government schools infrastructure facilities, government schools library facilities, internet facilities. So these are they able to find out where they are lacking, how they are lacking, how to improve all these things. This is the school governance also very, very important. Then the standard setting and the accreditations for school education. I am appreciating. I think today, but we have engineering college, NBA, National Board of Accreditations, department-wise accreditations, department-wise performances we can able to find out. The NAAC, National Assessment Accreditations, you know that the overall institutional ranking, it may be a B++ or B+, A+, like the ranking they are given. The overall institutional performances, including the infrastructures, teaching learning process, and so on. But what they are, the government national education policies, now they are set up a standard separate body to assess about the school education's quality, every school quality ranking, sir. Every school quality ranking. I think really appreciate it. That's why the private schools can able to performing very well. What about the government schools? What is the basic reasons behind it, why they are lagging? So the standard setting, the quality parameters can able to review their issues or their inefficiencies. So the standard setting and accreditations for school education, which is highly appreciated in our national education policy. So these are the various reforms in our school education system, sir. Even the curriculum itself, I think why I'm saying the curriculum and the teachers are very, very powerful part. How you are reframing the curriculums only the thinking aspect, the design thinking aspect, creativity aspect, cognitive, what abilities are very, very important. Cognitive abilities are more important. So as a teacher, when you are teaching to the student communities, no need to produce the same curriculum or something. You try to involve them to do more activities in the classrooms, activity-based teaching, project-based teaching, project-based, experiment-based teaching, only helpful for our future generations, future India. So these are all the various reforms which are reframed in our school education systems. Still, many more systems also there. This is the highlights. So when you are coming to the higher educations, I think we are all in the higher educations, even as a teacher or student, this is our responsibilities. At least we should know something. What happened to the higher education systems? What is the responsibility of the higher education teacher? What is the responsibility of the higher education teachers? So that's what I'm saying. The higher education enrollment, increase gross enrollment ratios to 50% by 2035. But what happening in Tamil Nadu? How many of you are aware of Tamil Nadu gross enrollment ratio in higher educations? Nowadays, 49%. You see, the Tamil Nadu government achieved entire India. Tamil Nadu is #1 state in gross enrollment ratios, 49%. Right? Even the 1920s. But the government, Indian government, because 50% by 2035. We already crossed their mission statement, their objectives, their goals. Then we will discuss later. What about the Tamil Nadu and other things? As a teachers, the higher education teachers, the management teachers, you try to critically analyze various things. What happened? The 49% performances. Right? This is increase in gross enrollment ratios. Then the one more important aspect in our higher education system, the government introduced the multidisciplinary education system, interdisciplinary education system. So the interdisciplinary education system, which is always supporting for our students' knowledge, skills in different domains, different dimensions. This is really appreciating. But I am really sorry to say, fortunately, unfortunately, I am really lucky to say about the management curriculums. The management curriculums, even right from the beginning, but somewhat mixed with various disciplines. Why? Because the management curriculums, which is copied from foreign universities, the foreign school of management. I think the first semester curriculum itself was students doing economics, then the psychology, the human resource, governance, ethics, information technologies, the mixing of various disciplines. That's why the students can able to become a great leader for the country, for the business. Now the government of India insisting in their new educational policy, national education policy, the multidisciplinary systems are very, very important. Even I would like to observe one thing here. What I'm saying, I have observed it. I think in Bharatidasan University 20 years back, one vice chancellor, I think he also one of my great well-wisher, that vice chancellor introduced interdisciplinary programs. Then almost all students, faculties are against these interdisciplinary programs. Why I'm telling? Because on the time computer introduced, the history students, if history guys do that computer science, now that gentlemen can do what you call here. Now the tourist agencies, tourist consultant, tourist guide, he can able to connect through the social medias. He can use his own website. He can do all these things. Right? Not only the English literature can able to write the content writing, or blog development, and so many things. Even the physics students can able to understanding the sociology, psychology. The physics students can able to understanding the telecom marketing, market opportunities. So this is called interdisciplinary educations are very, very important. That's why the government of India introduced interdisciplinary systems, which is highly appreciating in our national education policy, new education policies. In addition to this, the entry and exit qualifications. What is the entry and exit qualifications here? Suppose the students, I think my observations to got something different. Suppose when students admitted in the first year engineering. So in the first year itself, he wanted to discontinue the programs. He don't like to continue the second years. Then when students discontinue programs in the year of first year, at the end of the first year, that guy is eligible to collect the 1 year certification course of either science and basic engineering or basic information technology, basic computer science or basic electronics communications or something. This is eligible. Suppose the guys may discontinue his programs in the year of second year, end of the second year. He can eligible to collect the diploma certificates, diploma in engineering, diploma something, sir. So third year, postgraduate diplomas. So I think really appreciating this kind of certifications, always appreciating of my students, those who are performing very well, and they are diverted to some other disciplines. But as an educationalist, from your observations, suppose one guy is leaving from the first year, leaving from the first year. I think the most of the students, 95 to 98% of the students, those who are having more arrear, those who are not having such a confidence, those who are not able to complete his engineering programs or the science programs, then the guys discontinue. Suppose in the first year, there are 8 courses or 10 courses. That guys finished only 2 more courses, 3 more courses. Still 5 more courses are arrear. How is it possible to issue the certificate? Only for the year completion, formality of the completion of the particular first year or second year, or completion of the all courses in the particular programs. So that kind of explanations are very, very important from this education systems, educational policies. Right. I think most of the guys, the students, why they are discontinuing their educations because of unable to manage their educations, continue their educations, observing the educations. This is one of the most objective part. This is one observations. Right. Then the multidisciplinary educations and research universities. Multidisciplinary educations and research universities. That means par with the IITs, IIMs, we set up as a model of best multidisciplinary educations of a global standard in the countries. Right. The multidisciplinary education in the sense, because you now observed here NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework. Now they are introduced one new framework for new systems here, research-based institutions. The research-based institutions, who will come, because those who are introducing the multidisciplinary education system, then you can overcome your competitors. You can beat your competitors. You can stand in the first positions. University in the sense multidisciplinary universities. But in India, of late, for the past 15 years, when they introduced the deemed universities, I think most of the universities now they are stick on only with their own curriculums. Technology-based educational institutions are very, very high. Some of the universities slightly converted. Those who are ideas and the knowledge, they are converted into science, social science, architectures, then medicines, then law, and various disciplines, agricultures, sports educations. Now they are diversified into different. That is called the real universities. So I think the multidisciplinary, because the multidisciplinary education research universities on par with IITs, that is the Institution of Eminence, IO is like that. Now they are wanted to set up. That is the new schemes again. Then the National Research Foundations. National Research Foundations. What are the National Research Foundations? It was created by the apex bodies. I think now the research foundations, what I'm here, because there are so many research agency body for AICT research foundations, DST also there, Ocean Technology also there, then the UGC also there. There are minor projects, major projects. Then ICSSR, Indian Council of Social Science Research, Indian Council of Medical Science Research, Indian Council of Agriculture Research. There are so many bodies. Now what they did, because all the research bodies collapsed under the National Research Foundations, apex body for fostering a strong research culture and building research capacity across higher educations. I think already the research part is going, we are very, very lagging. But again, what I'm saying, they centralized. If centralized is good or decentralized is good, my aspect, decentralized is good. Even if you are decentralized, what happened here, I would like to share one small views. What happened? The last year, what do you call here, that pattern? Is pattern research innovations. We are talking about research foundations. Who is the number one country, the highest pattern obtained, the China is number one country. The second country is America. Third country, Japan. Fourth country, German, France. Then Korea, then Taiwan. So like this. Where is our positions? Very, very least positions. Even if you are decentralized, you are motivated, you are pumping billions of dollars, that there is no chance to attain more number of pattern. Even I would like to tell you, very, very pathetic situations, all IITs combined together attained only 500 patent. My dear engineering friends, my students, please try to understanding. Only 500 patents. The Ministry of HRD is spending billions of dollars to IIT promotion, research promotions. Only 500 patent obtained. Then next to all IITs, the Chandigarh University attained 380 patents. You could see Chandigarh University, what is the status of Chandigarh University? What is the status of all IITs in India? In what way you are comparing? Right? So when you are, because Chandigarh is performing very well means when you are comes under all these centralized schemes, is it possible? It is not possible. Right? Then one corporate. So I am saying because all IITs operate only 500 patents. So that's what I'm saying. Still the decentralizations are very, very important. You always motivating the people. But National Research Foundations what will be created, an apex body for fostering various things. So this is one minor change in that instead of the decentralizations, now they are going to control all these things. Then when you are coming to regulations aspects, the regulation aspect, now the engineering institutions under the regulations of the AICTE. All arts and science comes under the UGC. All architectures comes under the architecture councils. All pharmacy comes under the pharmacy council. All nursing comes under this nursing councils. Right here, agriculture councils. UGC. Now what they are doing, in our national education body, except a medical council and law councils, rest of the all councils should be collapsed and merged single councils. Higher Education Commission of India. Earlier the HERA also, because Higher Education Regulatory Authority of India, something they told. Now Higher Education Commissions, everything comes under the Higher Education Commission except medical and law. I don't know what happened to medical, what happened to law. What happened to law and some things. So nursing also comes under the medical. Right. I think now they are introduced. Now what they are doing, because the HECS have from here, because the independent verticals, there are segregated into 4 areas. One is the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, sir. The first body is a National Higher Education Regulatory Bodies. Like how that AICTE regulations, UGC regulations, no. But they have those single National Higher Education Regulatory Bodies for all the disciplines except medical and law. That higher educational, regulatory councils always regulating almost all educations, all disciplines. I don't know. So I'm not accepted, but we need to refine. Then the General Education Council for standard setting. So standard, how to standarding, measuring your educational curriculums, educational method, education standard, higher educational councils, general education councils. This is another one body for setting standard for standard settings. Then higher education grant council for funding. That's what I told you, because the research foundations. Higher education grant counseling for funding. Instead of the AICTE, UGC, Washington Technology, so and so, everything collapses comes under this single. That means they only monitoring all the funding activities. They only pumping all the funding activities. This is another one body. The last one is National Accreditation Councils for accreditations aspect, quality standard aspects. So here, what I'm saying, NIRF is different, NBA is different, NAC, NAC is different. NAC is different. Now everything comes under is a single body, is a National Accreditation Council. I think this is the regulations too. For higher education, sir. How to run the institutions, how to standardize, how to accredit, how to funding. There are 4 categories now. They are going to regulations. They are going to regulations. They have framed new things, sir. Right. Then the institutional architectures. So what I'm saying, because the higher education institutions will be transferred into large, well-resourced, vibrant, multidisciplinary institutions providing high quality of teachers. Now what I'm saying, rationalized institutional architectures, those who are having highly resources, now the Margadarshans, I think our Sai Ram Engineering College is really very proud to get a fund, the Margadarshans. Now we are mentoring institutions of around 5 to 8 institutions. Whatever the resources we have, including the teachers' resources, the capabilities, and other infrastructure resources, research-based, everything we could be able to sharing. So that means rationalized institutional architectures, that's very important. Then in these schemes, what they are doing, because the research-based, research-intensive universities to teaching universities, intensive universities, and autonomous degree granting colleges. I'm really appreciating this kind of institutions. I think the Sai Ram Engineering College by 2035, the Sai Ram institution is one of the autonomous institutions like the university. They have rights. They will have a rights to issue their own degree. That means the autonomous granting. Every college will be a separate autonomy. They have their own rights to issue the certificate, admitting students. That means, which means research intensive university to teaching intensive universities. Intensive based universities, and also the autonomous granting colleges. Why I'm saying, because you could see Malaysia, Singapore, even Thailand or Taiwan or Japan or China, almost all the colleges, separate colleges, they have their own rights. They have their own rights to framing their own curriculums, and conduct the examinations, evaluation of the students' performances, and awarding the degrees. That's what I'm saying, because the quality of education, quality ranking, QS, quality ranking, in the world quality ranking, the Times Quality Standard ranking in India, all over the world, the Indian educational institutions, IIT has got a number 175th position. IITs, where in this case of the China, 10 more institutions are top 150. Hong Kong, 2 more institutions. Singapore, 2 more institutions. Malaysia, 2 more institutions. Why it happens? Because of autonomy. Now your hands are tied with the universities. Whatever the regulations they have framed, we should abide, we should follow. Even the research aspects, every aspect. So that's why they're granting the autonomous status, which is really very, very appreciable. That's why they are functioning very well. I am talking about this quality standard world ranking. Now you are coming to the Asia ranking. In the Asia ranking, the quality standard, the same Times Quality Standard ranking, number 1 country, number 1 institutions in Asia level, NUS, National University Singapore. The second position, the same country, NTU, Nanyang Technology Universities. The third position is Hong Kong Universities. Then many Chinese universities, many Malaysian universities. Where is our university? Where is our institution? Our institute has got 29th rank in top 100 Asia universities. 29th rank, we are talking about IITs. Even the 100 institutions, how many Malaysian universities got top 100? I think when we are visited so many times in Malaysia, when we are looking at the universities, because we thought, I think what they are teaching, I don't know what they are doing. I think our estimation calculation is wrong, very poor. I'm really very sorry to say, because they are performing very well. They are performing very well, including in terms of foreign students, foreign teachers, research collaborations. So these are all the various important components for quality standard setting, the worldwide, Asia-wide. But what we are doing, still we are doing the same mistakes. That's what I'm saying. When we are talking about quality standard and something, there is things are the regulations. Regulations under rationalized institutional architectures, rationalized institutions architectures. That's very, very important. Right. Then when we are moving to the teachers' educations. The teachers' educations already aware of that is called the teachers' education universities or the National Education Research Council, the education councils. The education councils are very, very powerful. But today you are talking even the engineering-based teachers should undergo some training. Without the trainings, they will not eligible to be a lecturer. Where in this case of science streams, already those who have got MPhil or select net or some things, refresher course, orientation course, these are all there. Where in this case of engineering-based institutions, refresher course, orientation course, there is no mandatory because of more self-financing institutions. The teachers' quality, teachers' educations are very, very important. Even the basic fundamental for school education, the teachers' quality, teachers' education is very important. NCT, National Curriculum Framework for Teachers' Education, NCT, 2021, formulated by NCT. Their qualifications for 4 years, 3 years plus 1 year, B.Ed, BSc, B.Ed, BSc, B.Ed, B.A, B.Ed, 4 years. But what I'm saying, when the students were admitted in a 4 years integrated BSc, B.Ed programs, but the government insists them to appear for the entrance examinations, the teachers' education institution for eligibility examinations. Because the program itself, teacher, the training, he already got training, 1 year training, teachers training. But the government instructed all the students to appear for the examinations to strict regulations. So even the Tamil Nadu, recently they are cancelled. Those who are eligible to test, the teachers eligibility test, only for 5 years, 6 years. Now they are exempted. Now they are exempted till lifelong. So teachers' education is very, very important. You have to strengthening. Then the mentor missions. The mentoring institutions are very, very important. The mentoring institution, I think, Sairam Engineering College, one of the leading and prominent engineering colleges in South India. I think our faculty is highly resourceable. You are the role model for others. Then your inputs, your valuable resource, which is very, very important for your, next grade institutions. Or you might be hiring people from IITs or IIM or Indian Institute of Social Science, Indian Institute of Science, or the Tata School of Social Science. There are many people, that is mentoring institute. This is a really very, very excellent method. You can appoint some expert people to get more guidance to run your institutions, the mentoring missions. That also another one important aspect in our national education policies. Then open and distance education systems, learning system. I think now you are talking about Tamil Nadu, I told you, because 49% gross enrollment ratios in our Tamil Nadu higher education. What are the basic reasons? Because of that, so many universities offering a distance education program. They are admitting thousands of students every university is there. That also one of the major advantage to reach that 49%. So at the same time, awareness is very, very important. Without awareness, you can't do anything. Because the population in Uttar Pradesh is very high, but where is the literacy rate? Where is the awareness? That awareness is not there. But my educationalist, my perception, the distance education, open learning, particularly, that also another one impact to reach 49%. But again, we need to analyze in different dimensions. How many of them employed skills, how many of them employed, how many of them not employed, what is the basic reasons behind it, why they are failure. Everything should analyze in different dimensions. That means open and distance learning schools. There are so many online courses encouraged today. Even many universities, even our institutions, we have authorized online courses for equivalent to 1 credit to 2 credits, which is highly appreciable. Which is highly appreciable, sir. Appreciable. That is open under distance learning, sir. Online education, digital education, online education, digital education, various things are there. Various things are there. That means various things are there. Then what do you call National Education Technology Forum, sir? They are introduced. Then they are setting up so many, what do you call here? The Indian translations and interpretations, various, what do you call language center. Indian language, promotion of the Indian language. Now they are established so many centers, institutions, Indian Institute of Translations and Interpretations, National Institutes for Pali, Persians, Prakriti, right? They are strengthening the Sanskrit, various universities. I think there are a number of debates in our parliament. Right here, for Tamil the development, how many millions of dollars they are allocating, for Sanskrit, how many millions of dollars allocating, that is the politicians. We need to talk about all these things. But as educationalists, we try to analyze, we try to understand how to promote various language, various people mother tongue. Various people mother tongue. So that is another one important aspect in our higher education systems. Then the professional educations, even for engineering education or the law board, how they are involved. I think a number of changes in our engineering educations. Nobody was aware of that internship. Internship is mandatory of engineering institutions. Internship. Then what the design thinking, the problem solving, creativity, internship, startup, right? So product development. So these are all the changes. These are all happening in foreign universities, technology-based universities. But today, it are all change. With this change, then the adult education policy is to achieve 100% youth and additional adult literacies, adult literacies. So these are the various things which are happened in our national education policies. In what way that what the national education policy and your design thinking or your creativity or your innovations or entrepreneurs, which is purely start from that school education itself. The curriculum is very, very important. The curriculum, which is mainly focused on activity-based curriculums, research-based curriculums, thinking-based curriculums, training-based curriculum, experiment-based curriculums. The teachers' reforms are also very, very excellent. So I am 100% sure this new national education policies always highlight and enlighten of my young minds or the children to change into the scientist or the research or innovation or something. With this, I can finish my sessions. You have any queries, you can ask. Thanks for your great opportunities to share some of my views about national education policies. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful coverage of the national education policy. Really, you have touched upon all aspects, and finally, you have given the real essence of it, which is more important with relevant to innovation and entrepreneurship. So, thank you, sir, for sharing all your views and aspects with regard to national education policy. Students, if there is any queries you have, you can probably have your discussion. We'll just have some discussion if you're having any doubts, or else we'll again make the formal ending of this session. So, is there any queries? Probably you can chat in the chat box. You can type in the chat box. In the meanwhile, we'll just see whether any questions are arising. So I don't think any questions. So thank you, sir. Thank you once again, sir, for accepting this invitation to join in for this session. So we are really happy to have sir here. So sir has taken all efforts and pains, and he has shared all aspects with regard to the national education policy and covered almost all aspects. So we will definitely try to ensure that the aspects of innovation, entrepreneurship, we should start thinking about it as our main one of our main works, and we should think about in those lines. So with these few words, I would like to again formally thank our guest speaker and all the faculty members who have joined in, and for the student fraternity who have joined in for this orientation session. So we'll ensure that we will have more such informative sessions in the time to come. So please ensure that all of you please join in for these kind of sessions and ensure that you are trying to know more about the aspects with regard to the innovation entrepreneurship aspects. So thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ranganathan sir. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Be
you,
safe.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Bye, sir.
Bye.